But when your sin goes public, when your sin goes public, people act like they have none.
Me, that I without sin cast the first stone.
And I cannot forget the way that he made me cry many nights when I drove in his cars on the way home, not able to take enough showers to wipe the smell of him off of my body.
I think that we as Christians should just pray.
What if the same voices preaching salvation on Sunday mornings were secretly living a double life?
I would have been swallowed up. Have you ever been swallowed up? Have you gone through a time of swallowing?
What if I told you that some of these famous pastors were personally invited to Diddy's notorious freak-off parties? Yeah, the same parties at the center of those scandalous accusations.
Combs allegedly planned and controlled the performances, which he called freak-offs, and he often electronically recorded them. The freak-offs sometimes lasted days at a time.
So, did Diddy just drop the names of some of the most powerful spiritual leaders in the country? Could the men who are supposed to guide us be caught up in the same mess? Let's begin with Bishop T.D. Jakes, one of the most powerful and well-known figures in the Christian world. His powerful sermons have reached millions, and he's built a megachurch empire that spans the globe.
I would have been swallowed up. Have you ever been swallowed up? Have you gone through a time of swallowing?
But despite his prominence, Jakes was caught up in the claims of a YouTube channel, Tough News TV, that was later picked up on multiple social media platforms, resulting in his name trending on the internet a few months ago. In the video, host Jermaine McKinley alleged that he was sent an anonymous email claiming Cassie Ventura was assisting the FBI in an investigation against Diddy after the former filed and settled a civil lawsuit against the hip-hop mogul, accusing him of heinous acts of violence during their decade-long relationship. The email read, "So I want to put you up on game on the real nature of Diddy and Bishop Jakes' relationship. But first, let's understand that Bishop Jakes is not of God. He is undoubtedly a Freemason, and so was Diddy. And I say he was because it seems as though he has been stripped of his protection, privileges, and power. But make no mistake about it, his soul is still spoken for by the devil. He will never be able to fend off or escape that harsh reality. Anyways, I'm told Diddy and Jakes mask the real nature of their relationship. According to the email, back in June 1983, Kim Porter claimed T.D. Jakes was accused of messing with a young guy just a year after tying the knot with his wife. The word is, the whole thing got hushed up somehow. Fast forward to 1999 when a guy threatened to spill the beans on Jakes. Mysteriously, he vanished. Pastor Blank spills that the dude got paid off to stay quiet. 2 years later, the same guy turns up dead with a gunshot to the head. This all went down at Emmanuel Temple of Faith in Smithers, West Virginia. Rumor has it folks from Jakes' hometown insist he's been on the down low with guys all along, and there's even talk of some older pastor G him. McKinley also claimed Cassie had turned over incriminating evidence, including Kim Porter's burner phone and USB device containing footage of one of Diddy's AIDS parties to investigators. McKinley also said that Jakes was in attendance at one of the parties where he allegedly slept with multiple men. McKinley then alleged that multiple male escorts would supposedly corroborate the allegations against Jakes, and a young male was poised to sue the bishop over crimes that allegedly occurred when he was 16 years old. In addition to all this, rapper and hip-hop artist Mace also revealed what he knows about the relationship between Diddy and Jakes. If you are a fan of hip-hop music, you may have heard about the ongoing beef between rappers Mace and Diddy. The two used to be close collaborators in the 1990s when Mace was one of the biggest stars signed to Diddy's Bad Boy label. However, things turned sour in the early 2000s when Mace felt that Diddy was exploiting him and not paying him fairly for his work. Mace has been vocal about his grievances with Diddy, especially after the latter gave a speech at the 2020 Grammys, criticizing the lack of respect for black music by the industry. Mace accused Diddy of being hypocritical and of withholding his publishing rights for 24 years. He claimed that he offered Diddy $2 million to buy back his publishing, but Diddy refused and asked for more money. But what does Pastor T.D. Jakes have to do with this feud? Well, according to Mace, Diddy has a surprising connection to the famous preacher. In a recent song titled Oracle 2, The Liberation of Mason Betha, Mace dropped a bombshell that shocked many fans. He rapped, "Diddy got a deal with T.D. Jakes. That's why he never paid me. He knew I'd be free one day, and he ain't want me to say what I'm about to say today." So, what does this verse mean? Is Mace implying that Diddy made some kind of deal with T.D. Jakes to silence him or to prevent him from leaving Bad Boy? Is he suggesting that T.D. Jakes is somehow involved in Diddy's shady business practices? Or is he just throwing out random names to stir up controversy? Unfortunately, we don't have a clear answer to these questions, as neither Diddy nor T.D. Jakes have responded to Mace's allegations. However, some fans have speculated that Mace may be referring to an incident that happened in 2014 when Diddy donated $1 million to T.D. Jakes' church in Dallas. At the time, Diddy said that he was inspired by TD Jakes' sermon and that he wanted to support his ministry. However, some critics questioned Diddy's motives and wondered if he was trying to buy favor with TD Jakes or to get a tax break. Some also pointed out that Diddy has a history of exploiting artists and not paying them what they deserve. This donation could have been part of a larger scheme to keep Mace under his control, as if that's not enough. In 2022, a video of Jakes attending Diddy's 53rd birthday party caused a stir on social media. In response to the criticism, the executive vice president of TD Jakes Entertainment, who also attended the party, said the pastor only made a brief appearance at the party.
See, they put you in a situation where you can't win. If you hang out with the rich folk, you're snooty. If you stoop down low and get somebody in trouble, you had no business. So I'm supposed to sit at home and do nothing.
Now, these allegations have spread like wildfire online and caused Jakes' name to trend on multiple social media platforms over the last couple of days. This prompted Jordan Hora, Executive Director of Public Relations and Communications for the TD Jakes Group and TD Jakes Ministries, to deny the allegations to Christian Post. While vehemently denying the false and baseless claims, he said, "Recent claims circulating on pockets of social media about Bishop TD Jakes are unequivocally false and baseless." Shortly after his team issued a statement denying the allegations, while live streaming his Saturday night sermon on YouTube, Jakes seemingly addressed the claims by refusing to talk about false narratives online, insinuating that the allegations were lies.
If everything was true, all I got to do is repent sincerely from my heart. There's enough power in the blood to cover all kinds of sins. I don't care what it is, the blood would fix it. But I ain't got to repent about this. All I got to do is step over top of it and keep on going on.
However, netizens refused to buy into the bishop's outrage during his sermon, pointing out that he did address the allegations. In any case, Jakes had no business being in Diddy's parties, leave alone being a close confidant of his. According to Diddy's former bodyguard, Gene Deal, saints should have no association with sinners.
When I grew up in the church, the sinners was not supposed to have the same atmosphere with the saints.
He then commented on TD Jakes' association with Diddy's parties, saying,
"Looking at him as a saint going to a party that ain't nothing but sin. Fornication, man on man, woman on woman, he on she. But maybe he'd have to lay some hands on somebody. Maybe he'd have to save some souls."
Now, we all know about the crazy things that happen at Diddy's infamous parties. Rappers and celebrities have been alluding to suspicious behavior at Diddy's private parties for years. In fact, 50 Cent recently revealed the nature of these parties and why he avoids them at all costs. That hug you from the front and the back at the same time. If you talking about, if you into that, I'm fine with it. I'm just saying this ain't my MFing kind of party. I'm uncomfortable. I think I belong in the girls' bathroom, he said. While the claims against Jakes are unsubstantiated, this is not the first time the bishop has been embroiled in controversy. In 2009, TD Jakes' son, Jermaine Jakes, was arrested after he allegedly exposed himself at Keyes Park in Dallas and performed indecent actions in front of two individuals who turned out to be undercover police. Moreover, last year, the eldest daughter of Bishop, Cora Jakes Coleman's estranged husband, Richard Coleman, was accused of essaying their adopted daughter. Anyway, it doesn't help that Bishop Jakes has already been associated with another controversial figure, Eddie Long. For those unfamiliar, Long was a pastor whose ministry was marred by accusations of misconduct with young men in his congregation.
I cannot get the sound of his voice out of my head, and I cannot forget the smell of his cologne, and I cannot forget the way that he made me cry many nights when I drove in his cars on the way home.
So, when TD Jakes' name started getting linked with Diddy's notorious parties, people began making connections that no one ever wanted to believe. Senior pastor at New Birth Missionary Baptist since 1987, Long oversaw the church's explosive growth, with membership swelling from a modest 300 to 25,000. The Long has been senior pastor at New Birth Missionary Baptist since 1987. The church said it grew from 300 members to more than 25,000 under Long's leadership and became one of the nation's largest congregations. The church operated television and international ministries and built satellite churches in several cities, including Miami, Denver, and Charlotte, North Carolina. Long was a Christian author, a gospel singer, and was also known for preaching and practicing a prosperity gospel, in which the faithful would be rewarded with wealth. Long was also known for his flamboyant lifestyle, as he flew around the world on a private jet, drove around Metro Atlanta in a $350,000 Bentley, and lived in a $1.4 million house with 6 bedrooms and 9 bathrooms. In 2006, the church hosted then-President George W. Bush and former Presidents Bill Clinton, Jimmy Carter, and George H.W. Bush during the funeral of Coretta Scott King, the widow of the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. But 4 years later, scandal erupted when 4 young men filed lawsuits accusing him of misconduct, bringing notoriety to his church that reached far beyond its 10,000-seat cathedral at its home base in Lithonia, Georgia, just east of Atlanta. 3 of the men were older than 18, but one said he was 17 at the time of the alleged AB. They alleged that Long encouraged them to join the church's elite youth group so he could use them for intimacy. In exchange, they allege, Long gave them money, new cars, housing, and took them on exotic trips.
And I cannot forget the way that he made me cry many nights when I drove in his cars on the way home, not able to take enough showers to wipe the smell of him off of my body.
In a twist of irony, Long's staunch condemnation of homosexuality contrasted sharply with allegations leveled against him by 4 individuals. Like many conservative African-American preachers, Long vehemently opposed homosexuality, leading marches in support of constitutional amendments defining marriage as between a man and a woman, and organizing conferences aimed at reorienting gay individuals. These allegations echoed the scandal surrounding Ted Haggard, another megachurch pastor who fervently denounced homosexuality before admitting to engaging in illicit activities with a male prostitute in 2006. Moving on, we have prophetess Juanita Bynum. Juanita Bynum, known for her powerful teachings and spiritual conferences, has faced controversies of her own over the years. But this is a whole new level. She's recently been connected to Diddy's freak-offs, and while she's publicly denied any involvement, her past scandals leave room for speculation. Bynum once commented on T.D. Jakes' own scandals, urging people to mind their business when he was linked to inappropriate conduct. Bynum, while delivering her New Year's Eve service at her Norcross, Georgia church, felt moved to draw parallels between her sermon and the rumors. The behind-the-veil gospel singer was in the midst of preaching about showing mercy to others when she briefly broached the controversial topic. Everybody around me can tell you I don't talk about preachers. I don't talk about nobody, because I don't know who's going to have to be my help one day. I don't put my mouth on the people of God, because I wasn't there and I don't know, she began. Elsewhere during the church service, Bynum continued to state that hearsay about the new allegations linking the public figures to each other is coming from people who were not in the room when the incidents may have occurred. Mind your business, she said. Okay, I'm gonna leave that alone because this ain't no New Year's Eve message. Bynum seemed to show her support for the Potter's House church leader when she stated, "If I get a phone call, I'm running. I'm running straight to Texas." She reiterated her lack of opinion on the allegations launched against the religious figure with the biblical adage adapted from John 8:7, "Let he who is without sin cast the first stone."
And without sin, cast the first stone.
Bynum's rise in the religious world was meteoric, but her fall from grace seems inevitable with these new revelations. But supporting Diddy is the least of her worries. Bynum recently found herself entangled in a web of financial controversy with over $1.7 million seemingly evaporating from 2 nonprofit organizations under her leadership. The puzzling disappearance of annual financial surpluses, which were conveniently omitted from the books, has sparked intense scrutiny and raised serious questions about transparency and accountability within her ministries. A thorough examination of financial records reveals a troubling pattern of discrepancies. Surpluses totaling $1,764,427 from 2016 to 2021 were curiously absent from reported assets, leaving gaping holes in the financial narrative. While attempts were made to rectify the situation in 2022 by acknowledging surpluses as assets, the unresolved issue of missing funds from previous years continues to cast a shadow over Bynum's financial stewardship. In response to mounting pressure and skepticism, the IRS may soon launch an investigation into these nonprofit entities, wielding the authority to scrutinize their financial dealings with a fine-tooth comb. The implications of such an inquiry could be dire, potentially exposing instances of embezzlement or financial mismanagement and inviting legal repercussions. But financial woes are just one chapter in Bynum's saga of scandal and controversy. Her personal life has been a roller coaster of highs and lows, marked by lavish spending, allegations of domestic violence, and brushes with the law. In 2002, Bynum made headlines with her opulent wedding to Bishop Thomas W. Weeks III, a lavish affair that reportedly cost a staggering $1.2 million. Yet, the fairy tale romance took a dark turn just 5 years later when Bynum accused Weeks of domestic violence, shattering the illusion of marital bliss and prompting soul-searching among her devoted followers. Following this, in what appeared to many as a blatant pursuit of wealth, Bishop Thomas Weeks released a book titled What Love Taught Me. This publication, adorned with a cover photo from his and Juanita Bynum's opulent wedding day, delved into the vulnerabilities of their relationship. Among its contents was a chapter reportedly titled, She wanted to be the next Oprah at any cost, shedding light on the couple's aspirations and ambitions. Weeks' expose of their personal lives didn't end with the book. He eventually pleaded guilty to unspecified charges and received a sentence of 3 years of probation and community service. This legal saga cast a shadow over the couple's public image, tarnishing their reputation in the eyes of many. Meanwhile, Juanita Bynum retreated from the spotlight following the controversy surrounding her marriage and legal proceedings. However, she resurfaced under the moniker Juanita Bynum 2.0, signifying a rebirth and a fresh start. Her return to public ministry began with hosting a revival in August 2009, marking the beginning of a new chapter in her tumultuous journey. During this period of introspection and reinvention, Bynum began to open up about her personal struggles, including battles with substance AB and tumultuous relationships with both men and women. These revelations shocked many of her followers, challenging their perceptions of her as a figure of spiritual authority and moral guidance. Despite her personal tribulations, Bynum continued to engage with her audience through various means, including social media platforms and public appearances. However, her message became increasingly intertwined with financial appeals, as she urged supporters to sow a seed into her ministry, framing it as a pathway to spiritual blessings and prosperity. In a particularly audacious move, Bynum reportedly solicited 6-figure donations to fund the construction of a prayer room, which she dubbed a threshing floor. This initiative raised eyebrows among critics who viewed it as yet another example of her opportunistic approach to fundraising. Bynum's relentless pursuit of financial gain reached new heights with the introduction of the International Prayer Institute. This venture offered pricey courses on prayer techniques, promising participants an opportunity to deepen their spiritual connection and unlock divine blessings. Despite facing backlash for the exorbitant pricing, Bynum stood firm in her defense, refusing to compromise on her perceived value and worth. The drama didn't end there. In 2007, Bynum faced another setback when she failed to pay property taxes on her sprawling $4.5 million estate in Georgia. Despite her claims that the property was intended for ministry purposes, the tax authorities remained unmoved, threatening to auction off her estate if payments weren't promptly made. And if financial mismanagement and legal entanglements weren't enough, Bynum also found herself embroiled in a scandal involving revelations of past substance use and same-sex relationships. In a shocking confession during a radio interview, she admitted to a colorful past including substance experimentation and intimate encounters with both men and women. "I've been there and I've done it all," she said. "I've done the substances, I've been with men, I've been with women." Shocked, Ski interrupted her mid-sentence, asking, "Are you serious?" "Every bit of it," she replied. "It's my life. That AB that I suffered was because I attracted after my own kind. That AB was already sitting in me." Another name in the mix is none other than Pastor Creflo Dollar.
The teachings that I've shared in times past on the subject of tithing were not correct.
Let's talk about Creflo Dollar for a second. The guy known for preaching prosperity and living like a king with luxury cars, private jets, and million-dollar homes. But beneath that polished pastor image lies a much darker story. Back in 2012, Creflo Dollar made headlines for all the wrong reasons. He was arrested for allegedly choking and punching his own daughter. Yeah, you heard that right, his daughter. She even called 911, and her story was backed up by her older sister. I mean, this is supposed to be a man of God, right? A preacher telling people how to live good lives, yet he's out here laying hands on his kid, and not in a way that involves prayer. Sure, the charges got dropped after he took some anger management classes, but let's be real. This revealed a dark side to Creflo that doesn't sit well with his shiny, holy image. And here's where things get really interesting. With all the crazy allegations coming out about Diddy's wild elite freak-off parties, where exploitation and manipulation were reportedly on the menu, rumors have been swirling about pastors being involved. Now, if Creflo Dollar's got this kind of violent history with his family, would it really surprise anyone if his name showed up on Diddy's list of party attendees? I mean, we're talking about events that are now linked to some of the most disturbing accusations in Hollywood. And given Creflo's history, if he could allegedly choke his own daughter, would it be a shock if he were tangled up in these shady gatherings too? The truth is, when someone shows you who they are behind closed doors, it's usually just the tip of the iceberg. In any case, this isn't just about a few pastors who may or may not have attended Diddy's freak-offs. This is about the church, trust, and the deepening cracks in its foundation. How do congregations move forward when they can't trust their leaders? And how does this scandal change the way we see megachurches and their role in modern-day faith? The consequences of these revelations extend far beyond Hollywood. They shake the very core of faith for millions of believers. What can be done to restore trust in the church when so many of its leaders are caught up in such dark scandals? As investigations continue, the public, and especially their congregations, are left wondering, who can we really trust? What happens when the lines between Hollywood excess and religious leadership blur to this extent? What's clear is that this scandal is far from over. More names may emerge, and the truth, as always, will eventually come to light.